EaseInvest has been experiencing rapid growth since our founders Travis and Michael founded the company in 2012. Since then, our employee base has grown from 5 to 35. A board has been established and Annabelle has been appointed as CEO. The direction of EaseInvest is changing, with offices opening in China and India, and the relocation of key executives to the New York office will place EaseInvest in prime position for an IPO or attractive enough for acquisition in 2019. In interests of employee engagement and to protect culture, we note that the potential for acquisition should be kept confidential to employees and remain a goal shared only by our founders, board and CEO. To achieve our goals and for employees to adapt to the new multinational approach, investment will need to be made in a strategy that incorporates these 4 areas: organisational communication, organisational culture, groups and teams, power and politics. Our goal is to achieve coordinated action from our current and future employees in EaseInvest's new mission to release an IPO within 3 years. To achieve this, a variety of channels will be used to provide two-way communication between staff and management, discussing the international expansion and how to adapt to a matrix structure. It is recommended that a number of digital channels are used to communicate to staff on a regular basis. There will be a number of barriers which could prevent EaseInvest's internal communications from being effective. To combat these, the following is recommended. Communication overload. Implement a text message-based communication alert system to establish an on-demand style communications tool. The alert will notify employees of available communications, including the topic and if there is an event that requires compulsory attendance. Source of information. Ensure that consistent messaging comes from the board, CEO and founders. Defensiveness. Produce honest communications about EaseInvest's plan. If the plan changes, let staff know and explain why. Physical distractions. Not applicable at EaseInvest given our premium office setup. Semantic problems. Use simple language, remove jargon, or if required, create a jargon guide and use local consultants in India and China to tailor messaging for staff in their native language. Mixed messages. Use multiple channels to reinforce messaging and ensure that managers and supervisors are provided with supplementary kits to assist them in responding to employee queries. Absence of feedback. Introduce feedback channels. Set the expectations early and adapt if staff are not providing honest feedback. Don't speak up. The established relationships with existing staff should resolve this. However, cultural barriers may exist in India and China. Reinforce the company's values and provide staff with an anonymous outlet for their feedback. Relationships. Offer training to staff outlining how to operate within a matrix structure and be aware of cultural differences with staff if foreign officers. EaseInvest's communication style is simple. Keep your written communications short and succinct. By identifying the change, providing a 1-paragraph explanation, directing staff to the intranet for further information, and try to use two-way digital communication tools wherever possible. This will empower staff to provide honest feedback in EaseInvest's safe feedback space. The communications need to be jargon-free, honest, empathetic, concise, consistent, authentic, and engaging. Given the amount of change that EaseInvest's employees will be experiencing over the next 3 years, the expectations of managers, supervisors and employees needs to be embedded now. EaseInvest will introduce a number of digital communication platforms, as well as staff-driven newsletter. The expectation for all staff is that they will use these platforms when required and that they will all work together to share and promote their challenges and successes. This will be a challenging time for staff working in all of our offices around the world. It is important that we still leverage the knowledge of our EaseInvest family if challenges arise. EaseInvest has a real opportunity. We've achieved our prior goals, have determined our future ones, and you, the board and CEO, can implement initiatives to impact the company's culture. You will need to work together to decide the role and authority of the board, the founders and the CEO in how we move forward as an organisation. We propose that a review of the core values should take place. The current values may not culturally translate for each office. As an expanding multinational company, it is vital that the values are inspiring and motivating for employees from all around the world, appealing to different cultural backgrounds. A 3-stage training program will be developed for all staff during this time of transition. It should include an induction to the organisation, including EaseInvest's history, future plans and values, an introduction to working in a matrix structure, virtual teams and EaseInvest technology, and cultural awareness training developed through consultation with staff. With the executive team moving overseas, it is recommended that EaseInvest invests ample funds into supporting staff with these moves. This includes covering costs associated with moving, sourcing employment for spouses if required, arranging for school admission or childcare if required, language courses if the employee does not speak the native language, and a buddy system with a local employee to improve cultural awareness. With the expansion into China, India and the United States, current employees may also need to change the way they work and communicate with their international colleagues. It is known that the following cultural differences exist between Australia, China and India. Mandarin is spoken by 70% of the population, and therefore some language barriers may arise. As a collectivist society, individual rights and needs are subordinate to collective rights and needs, so harmony and family must be respected. Even though women are purported to be equal to men, economic and work-related inequalities do exist. Further, the Chinese culture is characterized by high power distance, masculinity, long-term orientation, and low uncertainty avoidance and indulgence. It is expected that cultural awareness training, matrix structure training, and induction to Ease Invest will address any power distance or masculinity issues that may arise, enable employees to become more familiar with working with female executives, and become comfortable with ambiguity and the need to be entrepreneurial. Hundreds of languages are spoken in India. Hindi and English are the most widely used. The Indian culture is moderately collectivistic, and friendships with co-workers play an important role in job satisfaction. The Indian culture is characterized by high power distance, masculinity, and low uncertainty avoidance, long-term orientation and indulgence. Again, rolling out targeted training programs will assist in global collaboration and creating internal Ease Invest cultural norms. Ease Invest executives will need to allow for family commitments and extend rewards to family members if possible. A challenge for any manager working in this area will be creating an environment where employees arrive on time, as punctuality is not a priority, and ensuring that allowances can be made for religious celebrations. Being passive is viewed as a virtue in India, so it is expected that additional incentives will need to be used to encourage staff to provide feedback and participate in the matrix structure. There are minimal variants between the United States and Australia. It is recommended that resources are better focused where the differences are greater, in India and China. A key focus in New York would be balancing the work week, with the average New Yorker working 47 hours per week. At Ease Invest, we take teamwork seriously because we understand that teams foster innovation and produce better products and services. Teams help us make better decisions, provide more diverse thinking, and also help us fulfill key human social needs. Teams should continue to be the soul of our work. Ease Invest will be creating many new teams in coming months. Some teams will work in the same office, some teams will work virtually across multiple time zones. It's important that our leadership team prepares for this and provides an environment where teams can perform at their best. There are 5 stages of team development that typically happen with any new group or team. Forming is when team members are getting to know each other. Teams are optimistic, but uncertainty and anxiety can occur due to a lack of understanding of the goal and individual responsibilities. We recommend introducing an employee induction program where team members are briefed on where our organisation is at, our objectives, and ensure team members understand the responsibilities they have in their team. HR will also facilitate meet and greets with key stakeholders so new team members quickly become familiar with key people in their teams and learn how they can work together effectively. Lastly, we'll develop a global teams page on the intranet which outlines the purpose of each team, a bio of each team member and what their responsibilities are. Storming is when boundaries are pushed. Conflict and confrontation between team members can occur. Some may even question the goal itself. We'll teach the 5 stages of team development to teams so they understand conflict is an all part of team development. Managers must be aware that conflict can and will occur. Always aim to resolve these swiftly. Budget is requested to facilitate managing through conflict e-learning package available to all staff. Norming is when cooperation begins to set in. Individual strengths are learned and we start to see progress towards the goal. A series of Ease Invest team building events at this stage will assist in accelerating to the next stage. Performing is when hard work without friction leads to achievement of teams' goals. Leaders need to ensure they delegate at this point to allow opportunity to continue developing team members. Adjourning is the final stage where teams disband or a project is finished. For groups of teams that reach this stage, budget is requested to celebrate with a wrap-up party. If you work with another team member again, it is much easier with a past experience viewed positively. As we transition towards a matrix-structured global organisation, we need to create virtual teams. Virtual teams can sometimes be less effective than face-to-face teams, so we must lay the foundations to assist with making the most of a virtual team environment. In virtual teams, we need to understand that trust is slower to develop. Misunderstandings can occur. It's easier for people to be social loafers, causing frustrations, and virtual teams must be very well managed. Some of the ways we'd like to manage virtual teams include organising a global Ease Invest launch meet. We request budget to provide a global team get-together for our international launch. Building relationships is still more effective when you're face-to-face. Schedule this to reoccur annually so teams can reconnect. Formulate and commit to a communications charter. Establish norms when running virtual meetings. For example, limit background noise, talk clearly and practice active listening and avoid dominating conversation. When to use email and when to use phone. Invest in communication technology. Ensure access to video and phone conferencing available in all locations. Establish a team rhythm. Create regular agreed meeting times based on rotation to share the time zone burden. Establish protocols on timely agendas in advance and minutes taken and shared post-meeting. Create a virtual water cooler. Begin meetings with a check-in. Give each team member time to provide an update on their day-to-day activities. Regular virtual team building should also play a part of virtual meetings. Develop a deliverables dashboard visible to all team members. For virtual teams, ensuring accountability is more difficult. Having deliverables dashboard that details individual accountabilities visible to the team will aid with this. Establish regular one-to-ones. Formalize regular pulse checks with team members to check status and encourage feedback, but also to help keep team members connected to the goals and emphasize the part they play. The key implication here is that our founders, Michael and Travis, currently hold the power and influence in the organisation. This poses a problem for Annabelle as CEO if Michael and Travis continue to play a visible part in the day-to-day operations. There may be confusion amongst teams as to who is in charge. Our recommendation is that Michael and Travis actively step back and provide an opportunity for Annabelle to build her personal power and legitimacy. Reflecting on our values of openness and direct communication with no boundaries, and change and continuous improvement is a responsibility of every employee, EasyVest could currently be seen as a direct democracy where individuals are involved in decision making. As we pursue an IPO, policies and procedures and a rational legal approach achieved by bureaucracy will provide predictability and consistency for potential shareholders. There are several sources of power which also should be flagged with leadership. In a matrix structure, there will be competition for management, which could be viewed as a scarce resource. When working with virtual teams, video conferencing technology is an essential part of workspaces, and control of technology can be utilised as a source of power. It should be also noted that having a female CEO in some cultures may cause a power implication where females are less respected culturally.